This podcast is sponsored by The Crazy Cast and Human Wire Productions at human-wire.com.
And the Gypsy Haven, Elgin's only witch shop at www.thegypsyhaven.com and onlinebookingssupplies.com.
Two witches.
You mean like witchcraft?
Sharing their opinions and beliefs about the practice and theory of magic.
Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch.
Hi guys, this is Feather.
And LeFay.
Welcome back to Season of the Witch.
It's been a little bit. We had a
delay.
bit of a pause.
That
but
was my fault.
we're back. We're healthy.
Yes.
Voices are back, so it's all good.
Did you miss us? You missed us. Come on, you can admit it. You missed us. Yes, you did.
Yeah, you guys don't miss us, but you get to see us every day.
Right, exactly. So shut up. Anyway.
We missed everyone else.
Yeah. All right. So, what? We're not going to go right into you had something that you wanted to.
Yeah,
you were all excited about.
I'm all excited. I'm nerding out.
Okay, nerd out, girlfriend.
So, this is not a new book by any means, but I wanted to bring it up just because I just saw that it got greenlit and is recording for a new TV show. For anyone that hasn't read it, it was the book I'm talking about is called American Gods, and it's very interesting. And just because it's now going to be on, I believe it's Starz Network, and it's going to be, they're in filming right now, so it's going to be really a good time to maybe pick that book up beforehand. It was written by Neil Gaiman in 2001, and it's a really interesting look at American lore, how deities are formed in more of a hard polytheistic manner, and how deities come over to America, and how everyone is migratory and brings over their own sense of a deity, and how that will morph and change with society. So for anyone that likes, it's a fun fantasy, but it also can get you kind of looking at how belief systems work. Don't take it like a how-to or anything, but it's definitely a fun, definitely not a Christian. Although there is a little subsection of Jesus if you get the extended version. So he does include him briefly, but it does have some North polytheistic belief systems, and it's a fun book, very quick to read, very interesting, and because there's a TV show coming out, I was so excited. So get those books out soon.
See, I'll have to buy the book and have my husband read it to me before I go to sleep at night, and it will provoke some really interesting dreams.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure that'd be pretty cool. All right. Well, before we start with our series that we left off, we've got a new moon coming up, or not, a new full moon.
Yes, coming up.
Tuesday, and we're actually, what is today? Today's Saturday. We're recording Saturday, so by the time this is aired,
we'll have it right in time for the moon.
Yay! So, yeah, those of you who have forgotten about the July SBOT, it is coming up really soon, and won't go into massive about it, but it's more of a meditation moon.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe,
the buck
and
moon.
It's, moon will be in Capricorn, which I'm super excited about, especially when it comes to a meditation moon, because being a Capricorn, and meditating, it's going to be more of a grounding type moon where you're very practical in your desires, more down to earth. It's not too flighty. It's being a little more realistic as to what you're trying to manifest, bring into your life at that moment in time. So
that'd be a really nice, it's probably going to be one of the nicest full moons we have all year, so definitely go out and enjoy the weather while you can.
Exactly. It's so sad. Summer's coming to an end, and it's like bittersweet, and I want to cry, but it's like scorching outside still, but you won't hear me bitching and complaining, because I know in a few months from now we're going to be like up to our fucking asses and elbows in snow and ice. And
I would like to live in a land of eternal Indian summer.
That would be wonderful.
I'd be so happy.
All right. Anyway, enjoy the SBOT in a couple of days, guys. But okay, we are going to continue on with our series.
Yes.
And we are up to the number 5. Cinco. Yay! So for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, and it's like, what are you talking about? Go back a few podcasts.
So 5 podcasts back, we start with the number 1, and now we're up to 5.
Well, yeah, actually, probably a little bit further than that because we
6.
put in, like Letha.
Okay, so
some of the
excluding
spots.
the specials.
Right. Okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about the vibration and numerology of the number 5. We're going to be talking about the zodiac sign, which is our Leo, and we're going to be talking about the tarot card, the number 5, which is the Hierophant.
Right.
So let's start with some common associations with the vibration of number 5.
It was kind of a very busy body or a very busy number in general. So they I don't know, likes very intellectual and probably learned to talk at a young age and probably was very early to be doing things which caused them to be doted on by the parents, which causes them later on in life to be a little more affected by their tidiness and personal grooming and their environment, a little controlling.
Okay. As far as the actual vibration without getting on a personal level, I like the vibration that it influences the attributes of personal freedom.
Okay.
Of get out and just like burst and go and not constrained, not held back with rules or regulations. Just the get out there larger than life.
They're very versatile and they adapt well and are very curious about everything and just kind of go out and do.
Right. No attachment. And another amazing thing that I really like about it is life lessons learned through experience. So instead of just the energy of, okay, this is what you should do and you do it. No, this is actually thinking it and getting out and just doing it and then learning from it rather than learning and then doing. Does that make sense?
Just do it!
Yeah, exactly. Get out there and live it and fall on your face and get up, and what did you learn from it? I love that about the number 5.
Oh, good for you!
It's a big number on vitality, kindness, promotion, versatility, being very, very versatile.
They like to travel a lot and they're constantly exploring new places.
Travel is huge, and I think that that's because the number 5 is also ruled by Jupiter, and that really has a lot to do with expansion and growth and travel. So you're going to hear us talk. Yeah, well, you'll hear that often when we're talking about our series this evening. A lot of traveling.
Yeah.
A great imagination. That is where a lot of it stems from, as far as not being held back. That imagination just, and it just goes, and then you just go out there and you follow it with nothing holding you back. Very clever, a whole lot of clever energy.
Just a lot of thought in general, very like in their own heads a lot.
Intelligence and that thought. Loves pleasure.
To the point of self-indulgence.
Yeah, that tends to be more of a negative aspect of the vibration of 5. Another one of the lower aspects, if you want to call it, is number 5 tends to be rash and irresponsible. But then that comes into play with that vivacious imagination just going and then having to learn the hard way. So I don't really think that that's bad. I wouldn't say that it's irresponsible. I think that it's more of a matter of what
other people expecting.
I don't know. I mean, if it's a major decision that you need to make in your life, then you need to calm the fuck down a little bit, maybe not exert so much 5 energy. But if it's something simple, just like, sure, this is worth taking a risk, then do it.
Right. They're much more able to do that than, say, a 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The 5 energy really reminds me more of, because we're going to be talking about animals later on too. So it kind of reminds me of the lion cub that is no longer a cub. It's more like a teenager that's out getting ready to just like rock and roll and rule, kind of thing. And learning the hard way,
right, getting kicked a couple times.
Oh, yeah, by the antelope in the face a few hundred times. But Yeah, even with that lion, I mean, dislike of confinement, you
Yes.
know.
They're restless a lot of the time.
Very restless. Fear of change and commitment can be lower attributes of the number 5.
I have rigidity on there as well. And then the instant gratification can be kind of another a problem for them when they need it.
Yeah, I think that it's a lack of the discipline that's necessary, but that comes a little bit further in our numbers. But it is still that explosion of life. That strong teenage type mentality. Just get out and fuck the rules. Fuck what anybody says, just get out there and do it. And even though mom and daddy say, you know, if you
That's
do
like
this,
an
this
18,
is gonna-
19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro.
But
Pretty much.
even some of the other personality traits of the number 5, you know, if it were to fall into your destiny numbers or any of the things that we haven't really broken down, that they actually have genuine interest in other people.
Right. They're when they are genuine, they're very genuine to the T and to the heart.
And very community minded when it comes to that too. They're high spirited. Again, they love to travel. 5 people love to travel. They're not the type of people that require routine or structure. They're kind of fly by the seat of their pants kind of thing, you know, and just do it. They're very much those risk takers, not afraid to jump in there and just dive right into the deep end, even though a lot of times they're going to hit the fucking head on the rock or something like that. But I don't know. What else do you have for the number 5?
A lot of the times they're like, this is just commonly things that can happen to them is like a lot of the times these are the people that end up dealing with crooks or con artists and criminals or being tied in with certain things. So a lot of the times that quickness to act can end up having some negative things. So that's just something to be aware of is, yes, it's a really good trait. And like 4 people look at 5 people, wonder how they're able to just jump off the cliff like they are and, you know, go explore like that. But then they're also, you know, exposed to a lot more different things.
Which is exciting. You know, 5 people definitely don't have a boring life.
No.
Whatsoever.
They're the jet setters.
Yeah, and one of the other drawbacks to that too is that they're constantly, you know, seeking adventure in this fun, and they may have several things going on all at once, okay? Which really depletes them of sometimes they will miss opportunities, okay, because they're so scatterbrained. And it's not necessarily that they're scatterbrained. They have so many irons in the fire going all over the place.
Right, that they have no more room.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, you know, they do miss some opportunities at time because they're not really organized with their thoughts. You know, they're just like think it and then they just do it.
Right.
But the cool thing about the 5s is that even though they may miss certain opportunities, when they have set their mind to something on a higher note, they get shit done. Mm-hmm. They do achieve what they've set out to achieve.
Like a boss.
So that's like a boss, baby. So number 5 is a lot of fun. What else do you think?
I don't know. I mean, like that's,
You know, I keep wanting to jump to the certain aspects in every day around us, like our 5 phalanges,
right, and the pentacle and the
Right.
elements and the human, the Da Vinci human.
Right.
So there's a lot of not synchronicity, but there's a lot of importance. Synchronicity in the
Sure.
environment and in the world in general with the human and nature. Mm-hmm. So, and then the Pythagorean there's a cult around the 5, and a lot of people have been looking at 5 as an important numerology number for a while.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even with our pinnacle, you know, the 5-pointed star and, you know, and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, I can openly admit that I have not given 5 nearly enough credit. You know, I get stuck on certain numbers. But even refreshing the brain, just to even talk about the number 5 makes me kind of curious to go back in and delve a little bit deeper. myself into it. It's just it's an exciting number, and I think because sometimes I can be so routine,
I look up to fives like that when I say the people that look at them is like, that's me especially. I cannot figure out how they function in that way, but they do it. They fly by the seat of their pants and love it, and it makes my head hurt.
Yeah, no, they're very inspirational to some of us that are just too serious and too, yes, absolutely, but
everything will be planned out, and I will pack way more than I need to and have an itinerary for every minute of every detail.
You need more coyote in your life, lady.
Well, we will talk about
yes,
that soon.
I know. We're going to be talking about our
So, moving on?
Sure, why not?
Looking at tarot?
Let's rock on to the number 5 in tarot. And, all right,
you pronounce it Hierophant. I pronounce it Hierophant. So, again,
you
tomato,
say tomato, fuck you, whatever. Yeah.
The man, again, sort of.
The man. The Hierophant, the Hierophant, whatever. It is ruled by Taurus.
Yes.
Okay. And in comparison to the High Priestess, who tends to have
secret
more
knowledge.
of the... Right. She is more secret, inner knowing. The Hierophant is more of a... I like to think of him as more of a human figure. Okay.
The Pope.
Exactly. Your religious
representative.
Figure. Right.
The human icon for religion.
Right.
So, like the head dude.
Right. A very, very wise person when it comes to spiritual power. Okay. Because that card really does represent spiritual power.
The teacher also.
Yes. It is more of the revealer of spiritual things type of teacher. But these types of teachers, it is more focused on from above, through, and then out this particular person.
Right. Like how the Pope actually functions. So he's the conduit between the higher power to the followers. And he's got usually on, like, if you start with the Rider Waite and anything that's based off of it, you see the two people that are at the foot of at the Hierophant's feet. So those are the followers, and they're looking to him for enlightenment.
I think one of the reasons, or one of the things that, I can appreciate the Hierophant because I appreciate all the cards in the tarot, but it does kind of rub me the wrong way because it really represents conformity.
Right.
And that really goes against
the rules.
Yeah, it really, really goes against my grain. It's like, no, I don't want to be told what to believe or anything like that, but I get it that there are some people that need that guidance from another human.
Right, and it doesn't always have to be in just your religious guidance. It could be anything with a mentor, college. It could be
education,
clubs,
right.
Or things that you look for that are going to give, in a structured manner, some sort of organization or structure that has a higher authoritative figure that can aid in teaching you in like further development.
Right.
In a really broad spectrum way.
So,
but yeah, I don't actually get excited seeing him in my cards usually because that's like, what do I have to conform to? What group am I supposed to be a part of now? What am I missing as like this whole? So I don't always look for him.
But at the same time too, I've done several tarot readings where when the Hierophant shows up, it's not necessarily an outside source. It's not an outside person. It's actually speaking of the individual themselves, and it is actually showing their further education in their spirituality.
Okay.
And it is oozing from them.
So it doesn't...
And they're actually practicing.
You're using it more in like the spiritual enlightenment on themselves. Again, it depends on where the card lands specifically. So
right.
if it landed in an environmental factor thing, that's going to mean a totally different situation than an outcome or in a different place.
Right.
So broad spectrum wise, it can mean both. It has a lot to do with just further enlightenment, and a lot of the times needing to include an organized something.
Yeah, and it goes beyond, again, it goes beyond the high priestess, where this is actually taking your spirituality and living the spirituality.
Enacting it.
Right, exactly.
Like the true enlightenment is, actually perceiving it and doing it consistently. So then it's also been associated with kind of like a lot of people like including him with certain deities. So they look at him like Chiron or Chiron, the Pope or the shaman. You've got Odin. A lot of the times he'll be pictured as Odin, or Bacchus, or Saint Peter is a really good one.
Okay.
Bacchus must be in a very
the Pope fucked up on Jack Daniels. That's Bacchus.
Oh my!
I'm not sure which tarot deck or whatever that was that they included that in, but I think one of my favorites is probably Saint Peter, who is the first Pope supposedly, and so that makes total sense. And he wasn't a part of that organized religion part of things beforehand, so you can see him as just kind of like the guy who was trying to spread the religion. So that fits more with him.
Okay.
And then it talks about humility and helping people get through difficult situations as well. So sometimes it can be that you're going to have to act as the Hierophant in certain things. It may not be that you're needing it, but you will have to offer aid and wisdom to other people that are coming to you.
Yeah, it really depends on where the card falls.
Yeah.
But it is that general representation, whether it's you or you going to someone else or an establishment, a belief system, basically.
Quickly, before I do want to just mention the reversed briefly, but do we want to go into the symbols first? That way we can just
go for it.
So we've got the triple crown and the triple staff, which are usually shown, which is just there's a lot of associations with Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or the triple deities and everything else. So most people are just including that in some sort of holy trinity of some sort. And then you've got the two pillars, just like with the high priestess, only this one they represent either law and liberty or obedience and disobedience.
Yeah.
Kind of hardcore.
Again, it's kind of what makes my stomach churn when I see. Yeah, okay.
And then he's also another card that has his hand held up. So, like the magician who has his hand held up to the sky, they're both, kind of. The Hierophant has it more in a sign of benediction. So he's got, the two fingers up, more of a religious pose and everything. And it's supposed to be the blessings that he's inflicting onto his, the followers. Yeah,
there are
very
good religious.
popey.
Yes, there are good religious teachers. I have to keep telling myself that. I just have yet to meet many of them. But anyway,
I think you're more familiar with the reverse side of it, which is more about prudence and silliness and the hypocrisy of that organized religions or organized set of people.
Do as I say, not as I do, and holier than thou, bullshit, hypocrite. Okay. I will not go off on a tangent. I promise.
So that's the reversed, and that's, I think, what every pagan who was once a Christian, they all know the reversed Hierophant.
Yeah.
That feeling that they all have in the gut.
Shit, I know his stepfather. That was... Okay, again, I will not...
We just got over Zeitgeist. We don't need to go back.
Okay. All right. What else do you want to add about the Hierophant, whatever you want to call that dude?
I kind of spilled my load.
You're
I got everything out.
All right. All right. Did you get that, boys and girls? All right. I hope you got your pens and pencils out, because
we didn't really give the warning beforehand. So, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to the Zodiac, shall we? Why is just all these... They're totally rubbing me the wrong way tonight, and I'm trying to be very optimistic, but we're about to talk about Leo.
Probably I'm, you know what? Warning beforehand. I have met some very pleasant Leos.
Yes.
I generally very much so enjoy male Leos.
Yes.
I won't lie. Saying that,
I have had one female Leo in my life, and she was actually a very dear friend of mine, but this was like 20 years ago. And it seems like the Leos that I'm coming across now, I don't know if they're my age or what the fuck it is, But
I hate to say it, every time I find out that it's a Leo, it's like,
cringe.
oh, no wonder.
You cringe.
No wonder I can't stand you.
Okay, I'm going to stop myself right now. All you Leos out there, we're going to start off with the positive attributes.
Yes.
Okay? So,
and you're going
don't
to love
mind
the
us.
famous people because it will truly show. You know, honestly, I think it's me being an Aries. It's fire and fire again, and Leos definitely are larger than life.
Well, they're the fixed fire.
Yes.
Okay.
So why don't we go into that?
Very stubborn fire. And all right, we'll back up a little bit.
Positive traits.
July 23rd through August 22nd, you're a Leo. Your sun sign is Leo. If your birthday falls between July 23rd and August 2nd, full-blooded Leo. Leo on Leo, okay? Second decant, August 3rd through August 12th. You are Leo with some Sagittarian traits, okay? August 13th through August 22nd, that would be Leo with Aries traits.
Okay.
Okay. Again, they're the fixed summer, all right, of the signs.
As fiery as it gets.
Fiery. Masculine, active energy.
Very much so.
Yeah. Ruled by the sun. Their polarity is Aquarius.
Yes.
So Leo tends to have more concern for self in comparison to their opposite, their polarity, Aquarius, which is humanistic concern for others.
Right.
Okay, so you
you've
put
got
those
a
two
doter
together.
and someone to dote on them.
Right. All right. So get those little blah blahs out of the way.
All right. Some positive attributes. They're very creative and very passionate.
Yes.
Immensely passionate.
Very positive in their outlook. Okay.
Yes.
They're actually very decisive.
And funny. They're usually the kind of not a class clown, but they're very humorous and quick-witted to, have a smart thing to say.
Yes.
And that's what hysteria can do to you.
They're very determined.
Very much so.
Okay.
And self-confident.
Very firm. You have to think of lion, okay, and all of that.
The Lannisters.
Pride and the ego and the I walk into the room and hear me fucking roar.
Every Lannister.
Okay.
I know there are Game of Thrones fans out there. You think of the Lannisters.
Okay.
And, yep. Okay, positive things.
Yes. We will find positive
Loves
things.
life and it expects to be they're pretty much the life of the party. You want
Yes.
a Leo to show up to your party and be the host because they will make sure everyone else, if they're having a good time, everyone around them is going to have a good time as well.
Right. They love to feel. They love feelings, which means that they also love drama. Okay.
And like talking to people.
And as far as the drama goes, that's what makes them good actresses and actors, and because what they feel they can express. So they're really, really good at that. And one of the cool things about them is that they firmly believe that they are the absolute best thing since sliced bread, and they encourage you
to feel the same way as well.
Exactly.
Not about
That's how-
them, but you should feel that way about yourself as well.
Right.
Which is really impressive. And if you can be sucked up into that energy, they're a whirlwind.
Yes, they're very happy, they're funny, and they're playful. Even I like to think of them as little lion cubs.
Yes.
And they're just like, and all over the fucking
Tasmanian
place.
devils
yes.
of energy.
They're very generous. With the people that they love, they love to shower them with things. They're very giving to those that they love. And if they don't love you, then fuck you. But anyway, all right. What else? Some good things.
Well, they like to play games. I mean, like, is it indoor, outdoor, with friends, without friends? They need to be constantly positively reinforced with games and entertainment, and that can be, they get bored easily.
Okay, yeah, we're kind of going into the other aspects.
The not so nice aspects.
All right, well, I'm not going to say they're not so nice, because you know what? There are a lot of people that are attracted to this
And everyone's got positive, like can you turn what a weakness would be considered a weakness into a strength some other way?
And I don't even really like using the word weakness. It's not that they're weak. I think that they have things that they need to work on. So I think they're more lessons that need to be learned. And deep within the heart of every lion, of every Leo, is a deep insecurity. Mm-hmm. So, but they don't want that exposed. So that is why they come across as boisterous, as loud, as
domineering.
Yes, as aggressive as they do, because it's kind of like
nothing's ever enough for them.
Well, they're very superficial. So everything that is coming out,
which my family dates back to the days of Pompeii.
Yes, that's very Leo. It's like, look at me and all my superficiality. Look at my bold colors and my big voice and all this and this and that. Because if I can distract you from the real me, then you're going to love me. And the louder I am, and the more I make you love yourself, then you're going to applaud me and you're going to love me. And that's what I need you to do. I need you to pet me. I need you to adore me. Yes. And if you don't, then I get real nervous, and I'm not happy anymore.
Right.
So
there's a chance for jealousy or manipulation within a relationship or friendships because they need that constant reinforcement.
They need constant reinforcement. Okay. I'm seriously, I'm trying to not bring personal feelings into this, but I have a deep, my energy clashes with that of Leo's so strongly that I'm...
It's hard because for people that are less self-focused, it's really hard to watch Leos function in a crowd because, one, they do really well in a crowd and they do really well in a party situation when they've got the right kind of people. But if they're very self-focused at times, I feel like it becomes uncomfortable for the ones that are more like the Aquarians or whoever is more group oriented.
I think the thing that is one of their biggest obstacles and roadblocks is the size of their ego. Their ego is what leads to this superficiality. I think that a lot of Leos have issues with their own spirituality because they can't love anything more than they love themselves. So it's more of a matter of,
letting that self go.
Yes, and spirituality does not come easy to them.
What about self-worth versus ego? Because I feel like it could also fall into that where they don't feel like their self-worth is enough, where they always have to be bigger, get the shinier thing, the bigger thing, the more luxurious this and that to fill that self-worth hole.
But see, that's where, and you're absolutely right, okay? Yeah. But that's a very humanistic, realistic, way of looking at things.
Completely disregarding the spirituality, but
right.
You can't feel like, I don't think your ego can be imbalanced, and I don't think that how you function with other people can be level until you have a better self-worth, because then you're still asking for that constant reinforcement.
And that's, again, I don't call that a weakness. It's a lesson, you know, and it is something that...
And it's not just a Leo lesson, by the way.
No,
I'm not trying to. I'm not just trying to stick that on Leo.
No, there are plenty of other signs that need to work on that as well.
Just every individual, I think.
But I think if it's a little less trying so hard to make people happy so that they pet you and, make you feel better about yourself, to actually taking down the false illusion of what it is that truly makes you happy and going within. And I think that they may have struggles with that.
Okay, that makes sense.
If that makes any sense. No, but the Leos that I have met that do bring back fond memories were so much fun. You're almost envious of them because when they
shine.
When they go in to a room, you know, I love to sit back and just watch them because everybody falls in love with them until they really get to know them. And then once you really get to know them, it's like, you know, you are like super insecure, or you're either too insecure where it's like, love me, or you can be super bossy.
Yeah, and I am the shit, and everyone else had better watch out. Those are the...
Yeah.
I've met a lot of women Leos that are like that.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, just rubs me the wrong way. And every time I meet a female like that, I just pray that, you know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're not a Leo, maybe it's not just this inherent, just... okay, it is another Leo. All right, I just gotta learn. For me, it's a lesson that I need to learn. It's not that the Leo is wrong. It's just I clash.
But even with their relationships, though, too, you know, again, when they firmly believe that they have found somebody that they can be vulnerable to, just like you said, they tend to, you know, just like completely throw themselves. They lavish this person, and unfortunately, they are very, it's all disillusion, and it can lead to heartbreak a lot of times. They think they know what they want. Again, that superficiality gets in the way. And then it's like, oh, this person really, really does love me, you know, but when they don't, you know, when it turns out that maybe it's not as deep as it should be, then it just breaks the Leo's heart. So really, I think that there's a very fine line between being a stronger, positive Leo and being a lower end Leo.
Right.
Finding that balance where you're not bossy, you know, that you're not over domineering.
Ain't nobody got
You
time
are
for that.
still that fun, fiery sign.
Life of the party.
But understand that I can pet you once every in a while. I don't have to sit there and consistently stroke your cock to make you happy.
Right.
Because
you are the same whether or not somebody is stroking your ego or not. That does
Right.
not... outside is not going to give you that fulfillment. You need to have that from within.
And it is one of the bigger lessons for Leo to work on in their path. But
So,
what else?
I have famous people.
Tell me
Because I
about
don't really have
some-
any more attributes.
Okay, go ahead.
I could vent, but I don't need to. All right. So,
You killed my father.
you are correct in saying there are a lot of actors that tend to be Leos. And so, starting off, you got Woody Harrelson,
Nice. I love Woody.
Zelda Fitzgerald,
Okay.
older one, Amelia Earhart,
Okay.
which makes sense, Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Okay. I'm not gonna say anything.
Totally
Go ahead.
makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Monica Lewinsky.
Get the fuck out. That's
Makes sense.
your dick if you like me. Just love me. I swallow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anna Paquin,
Okay.
Daniel Radcliffe, J-Lo,
Really? Okay.
Carl Jung,
Carl Jung.
Freud's.
Get out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The psychotherapist, whatever his technical term is. Helen Mirren,
Okay.
Mick Jagger,
Hey, nice.
Jackie Lee Kennedy,
Okay.
Henry Ford,
Okay.
which I've heard he was crazy.
Jackie Kennedy
Jackie Kennedy was Leo.
she was like very disciplined then. Maybe I didn't know her well enough.
I think a lot of
see
her rambunctiousness also got quieted down.
Well, she had. Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
I love Arnie. Everybody bashes Arnie. All right.
Coolio,
Awesome. Coolio. Okay.
and Martha Stewart.
That was easy.
Oh, God. That totally. Okay.
Louis Armstrong,
Martha Stewart.
and Barack Obama, and Andy Warhol, and Lucille Ball, and
Lucille Ball. Yeah, that. She. Okay.
Total Leo. And then last but not least is Joe Rogan, who screams Leo. He is like the epitome of Leo.
Okay.
So, Leos are they seem like really fun people to hang out with, but
well-balanced Leos, you love
great.
to be around them. You love to be around them. You feel loved, you feel secure, you feel safe, you feel appreciated, you feel like you're put on a pedestal. They will do all these things for you. Their heart is the size of this room. But the lower end Leos, they are judgmental and selfish and egotistical. They love mirrors. You know, they can't stop praising themselves and
need to hear it all the time.
The fucking time.
All of their motivation comes from just preening.
Yeah, and once you realize that you are around a low end Leo, and then they start promising you gifts and that kind of crap, you can see right through them. Yeah, it's like, no, you can take that gift and choke on it. Really, I really don't.
Nothing to do with this. I don't want it back.
No, right?
Take it back.
So all of you strong Leos out there, stay fucking strong.
Be awesome.
Yes.
You set the bar.
Right.
A lot of the times they're the ones setting the bars. Like, holy hell, you got to be able to stand up to those guys.
But we need those strong fixed fire signs. We definitely need you. And
you're entertaining, at least.
They're good leaders.
Oh yeah,
they're amazing leaders.
When they're set in the right direction, you're not going to stop them.
But just like any other leader, it seems like we've got so many leaders, but the higher percentage of them are weak leaders. You know, and a good, strong Leo makes an amazing leader. Even though they might not, they'll delegate. They don't really want to do the work themselves, of course, but they'll tell you everything that needs to be done. And if you listen to them and they're worth listening to because you respect them, then they get shit done.
And then they'll appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, you're worshiping them.
Exactly.
All Leos want to be worshipped.
They'll appreciate their work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, all right, Leos. Rawr. All right, we heard you roar.
We don't hate you. We don't.
No.
I love a lot of you. I love the work a lot of you do, and I keep work. You teach me a lot. I cannot figure out how you guys pull off being the party. The crazy party people that you are. Whatever you're doing, do it. Keep doing.
And I will personally apologize for myself if I seem pretty pessimistic about it. Again, I'm having a hard time not bringing personal feelings into it, but I have some pretty strong people in my life that just are Leos that I'm
have a lot
working
of lessons
on.
To learn.
I'm working on. I haven't killed them yet, but I'm coming pretty fucking close.
All right, so
we get to talk about fun stuff now. Homework's over. Put your pens and pencils down.
Now for drinks.
Yeah. We get to talk about animals tonight. Yay.
This was, I was excited about doing this one. Because, one, it's one of your favorite topics in general, but I feel like there's so much, not confusion, but there is a lot of misuse of each word and terms for each thing and what the differences are, and it became really popular on the internet all of a sudden, like that's my spirit animal, or this person is my spirit animal, or this is this, and I feel like there's a lot more to it that people are missing out on, or that maybe there's just so much information out there that maybe we can at least try to narrow it down a little.
Narrow it down to our own personal beliefs and how we incorporated it into our own lives.
Right. There is no right and wrong, obviously.
Right. But basically we're going to be talking about animal totems, your spirit animals, familiars.
And spirit guides.
Right.
And how they differentiate different titles and terms and how you can see things. And really, the terms don't really mean anything. Or like the technical titles. But there are different ways that the universe is communicating to you and different things that get included.
Well, we all come from the earth. We are all specks of energy on the planet, and I like to think of the animals kind of like the Native Americans did, as they are our brothers and sisters.
Right.
And we coexist on this planet with them, and their energy is crucial to our existence.
I think that's called or considered animism, technically.
Okay.
is that term. And that is pretty much exactly what you were describing, with how animals have that same spirit and soul just like humans do, and we're all interconnected in that way.
Right. And as far as working with the different types of energies, the animal energies, I mean, everybody knows that, because I've said it 10,000 times, that I choose, when it comes to rituals and spell work, to work with animal energies over human, so-called human deities for certain reasons. But I think, backing up, why don't we start talking about, let's start with familiars.
Yeah, I like that one.
Because
they're pretty easy, and a lot of people, I think it's the most commonly, most people have a familiar, maybe don't even realize it.
And it's, I very Hollywood, you know, whenever I hear a lot of people come in, they're like, oh yeah, my cat is my familiar, or this or that. And
I like turtles.
I'm glad you like turtles. I like turtles too. I tend to have a different definition of a familiar than, I guess, most people that I talk to, which is fine.
Right.
But in my mind's eye, when it comes to working with animal spirits, I tend to keep domesticated animals out of the equation when it comes to them and the energy work that I'm performing, simply because I think anything domesticated, it's not the true essence of their relative. You know, like a regular house cat in comparison to a cougar or a mountain lion, you know, or...
I get what you're saying with that. Go continue. I don't want to cut you off on that.
But it is, to me, a familiar isn't... Okay, I'm going to back up even more. I don't believe that we choose animals. I believe that animals choose us, including familiars. And a familiar to me is not part of my animal totem, which we'll get into.
Right.
Okay.
It's a different thing altogether.
Right. Familiars are spirits of animals, insects, creatures that are not trees or humans, okay? Animals that present themselves to us when we need them. You know, universe is saying, okay, there's a particular situation, you know, that you need maybe a little angel to pop up in your life to send you some symbols or some signs, kind of thing. And they're there for a short span of time.
Okay.
Okay? So a familiar to me is more like... it's a creature that is doing something beyond its normal behavior. That, for instance, you know, it's not like, oh, I saw a fox today, I have to look that up, you know, and the fox is trying to tell me something. No, the fox was just being a fox.
Right.
Okay? To me, a familiar is any creature, whether it's a grasshopper or, you know, it could be a fish in a pond or a coyote, but it actually stops and it recognizes you for a moment of time, and it does something out of the ordinary.
Right.
Okay?
Even if that's staring you down and staying like eyes locked or something.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
It is an ant that is going across your table, and it stops right in front of you, and it gets up and does this really fucked up weird ant dance, you know, and then it goes on its way. It did something completely bizarre just for you.
Right.
And at that moment in time, that to me is a little messenger, and it is there to portray some sort of a message and its own weird symbolism. That's my job, is I have to look up and understand what that, not only what ant represents, but
the message
is about. So a familiar to me comes in for a short period of time to deliver a message. Until that message is, you know, I've gone through it, received, then that familiar will stick around. Once the message is received and I get it, Spirit, okay, that's exactly what you're trying to tell me, then that familiar is gone from my life.
Right.
Now, that's me.
Yeah, I would completely title that a spirit guide.
Okay.
Or an animal guide. Exactly what you described it. That title exactly is what I would more define as that. I mean, like, I was looking at Encyclopedia Britannica, so that's where this comes from, and that's where I would totally agree with that definition. To me, a familiar is actually more of your domesticated energy transference creature. Whatever you feel like you are most connected to in a pet sense, the thing that I don't necessarily think that I would use them specifically in ritual to obtain that energy of that creature. I would more agree with, wanting something from cougar or for stag or something like that. But my pet, like mine specifically, her name's Artemis, and her mannerisms, her behavior traits, a lot of the things that are so inherently close with me and how she interacts, and that's why I think, for me, I feel like a lot more people have familiars than they realize, because that's the one that they get you. Like, if you have 2 dogs, there's always going to be the one dog that gets you better than the other, or there's different connections that people have. And I don't know, I think that especially with Reiki, if you do actual energy transference, there's a creature that you have that capacity to do it better with than others.
Okay.
So that's where I see a familiar. It's maybe more on that classic, traditional, maybe even Hollywood idea, but the animal that you're directly connected to.
Okay. Maybe it's...
And I feel like that's a human behaviorism as is, because we've always wanted that companion.
And I think that that's why I disconnect from that idea myself.
Right.
Is because... I think it stems from the whole belief in my own mind that the animals choose us, we don't choose the animals. And to me, a domesticated pet, I chose that pet, because I do relate to it. I chill with that pet. It doesn't necessarily, to me, doesn't do anything other than calm my psyche on an everyday level. It doesn't really affect me spiritually.
Well, it can, though. And that's where I don't think that you have a familiar if you haven't connected with it spiritually. But if you have an animal that works with you well during, meditation, or works with you well during Reiki, or actually can transfer energy back and forth, and you have that connection just like you can with a human, or with I don't like comparing it with a stone, or like certain plants that you specifically connect with. Animals and humans and other things that are alive like that, I feel like can give a different kind of energy transference.
Okay. And
no, I don't think that I chose either of my pets. I think that they came into my life in very interesting circumstances that, we didn't actually choose them. They just happened to be there at the right place at the right time. So we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this, but I get where you're like moving on to spirit guides and animals. There's a whole slew of how to interpret what is, like being able to interpret what's a sign and a message from universe, or what that's about. Like my favorite spirit guide story that I have is about the hummingbirds.
Okay.
Basically, when we first were living in LA, I was, every morning I would go out and sit on my back porch, which was like just a little stoop, and smoke a cigarette. And this area that I was sitting had absolutely no plants, no flowers, like nothing to interest hummingbirds to come back. And every morning, and this is like 6:30 in the morning, I would be sitting out there, and there would be a hummingbird that would just show up and fly right in front of me in one of the perfect 8 up and down for a minute or two.
Sure.
And this was a couple weeks of it doing this every time I got up in the morning. And then finally, just after looking into really what hummingbird was about and trying to incorporate that in my life, the birds stopped showing up after a little bit.
And I have the exact same story. Mine had to do with a grasshopper that was pretty big. I would come out every morning to have my morning cigarette, and a big grasshopper. It was 2 inches long.
Yeah, big guy,
and would sit and he was only about a foot away from my face, and he'd be looking right at me every single morning. You know, and the very first morning, I'm like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Grasshopper, how you doing?" And he'd just sit there. You know, I could touch him gently, and he would not
leave.
At first I thought he was dead. You know,
Right,
I'm like,
just-
okay, he's just kind of like, but he'd just sit there and he'd stare at me, and I didn't think anything of it until about the third morning. And I'm like, "You're back. I know you have not been here. You know,
Right, you're not
you've
there
had
all
to-
day."
right? But every single morning, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, hello, okay.
What are you trying to tell me?
Exactly. And when I looked up the message of Grasshopper at that moment in time, it was dead on. So the very next morning, I went out and I spoke with it, like I'm speaking to you now. And I'm like, you know, I appreciate the fact that you're here and that you were doing what you were doing, and I get it. You know, I understand the message that you're trying to give me, and I'm just letting you know that I'm working on it. You're right. I've kind of put it on the back burner, and you're right. And sure enough, I promise that I will. And after that conversation, the grasshopper went away. I never saw it again.
Interesting.
So it was actually pretty cool. But again, I consider that more of, I mean, you called it more of an animal guide or something like that.
Right.
You called it. Those, to me, that is more of a momentary familiar.
Okay.
For me. Okay, so whatever
the title, that's where we said at the beginning.
Exactly.
The titles and terms can be very loosely used.
Right.
And I mean, like, do you have a term for something? Like, do you ever try to energy work with a pet or a domesticated animal too much, or are they just your pets?
No. If I do anything, it's more of energy work as far as meditation to work on my own energy flows.
Right.
Okay. It's more of receiving and passing along energy.
Yeah, that's more or less what I'm talking. I don't use them for rituals or anything, especially not cats.
And I don't, and like I said, I think that my domesticated animals, they do. It's more of an everyday psyche thing. You know, I've never had an animal like my smallest of dogs. Her name is Jasmine. That when I come in, I've never had an animal so fucking happy to see me. You know, and she whines and she dances and she's just like I haven't seen her 1,000 years.
Right.
And there's no feeling greater than that. You know, and she just makes me happy. And whenever I'm outside and I'm feeling a little, all I have to do is think of her, and she instantly lifts my spirits.
Right.
But I don't work with her or any of that when it comes to meditation or anything. She is completely separate to me when it comes to that.
Okay, so that's where I feel like we're just shifting the titles one down, is like where I would call an animal guide what you call a familiar. I call familiar the thing that you don't really do/use, but, even what you have connection with Jasmine, if you were to include her in I wouldn't ever do a ritual with, like, a pet. It's especially difficult with, like, cats and candles, and it just sounds like a bad idea. Right. But, yeah, the energy work is pretty much the main thing that I'll do on them, or I'll try and do minor Reiki on the cats, if I feel like just to work on my Reiki, nothing negative is going to happen to them. Anything, they're going to be healthier. So in that sense, that's where I don't ever try to do anything crazy with them. But I would consider the pet that you're most connected to on an energy spectrum and in a psychological spectrum.
Okay. You say tomato, I say tomato.
Exactly. All right. So
outside of those,
besides,
it is still kind of different though, because going from a familiar to an animal guide into like more of your totems.
Oh, that's totally but I'm not even done with guides.
Yeah,
or like if you
it.
call the familiar/guide, your term familiar and guide. I don't even want to just say that they're just animals, because there's a lot of different kinds of guides. So outside of animals, there's people that consider angels to be their guides. So say I had a dream about an angel and he told me the specific thing.
Okay.
And I'm just including all the denominations because I feel like it's the same message or the same messenger, or there's some sort of way that universe, the main thing is trying to send you an important message. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but you start talking angels, you're going to lose me.
Well,
I'm
okay,
sure there's plenty of
angels
people
and voices and fairies and past relatives and ancestors and elements and household items and deities. All of these, I think all of these are just filters towards receiving that message in the way that we interpret it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying is like an animal or an angel or an ancestor, because they're, Eastern religions, like the Chinese. They don't have spirit guides or familiars coming and telling them things the same way an ancestor would.
Okay.
But the ancestor might have, a dragon head at the time, or it's like it just changes. But I think it's the same concept of, the universe giving you a message.
Yeah, the universe gives us messages in the most fucked up ways, even through our own dreams. So,
right.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
where, when you're interpreting it, yes, an animal guide, when you see it and it's specifically acting in a strange way with you, that's one way of interpreting the message. But then there's also the random intuition or the dreams, and you can see the animals in your dreams as well. I'm just trying to go into the different ways of seeing them and examples of that, so that we covered that genre pretty well.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to go into about that kind of message?
Not yet. I have a feeling that we'll wind up going back.
Circle around.
Right. We'll be looping back and forth a lot. But,
okay, totems. Because there's group and individual totems. So I've got all of the back history, so let me hear your synopsis, and then I'll go into details.
Well, as far as totems, again, you'll hear a lot of people that say, yes, when you're born, God has assigned a guardian angel to you, that helps you, get you through, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm not a big angel girl. I've devoted myself entirely to animals. And what the Native Americans believe is that you are born with animal totems or angel. I call my animal totems, those are my angels.
Right, your guardian angels, your whatever you want to call them.
They're not in a human form, they're more of an animal form. And I understand that there are plenty of different beliefs, that you have maybe one animal totem, that's what some people believe, one hard spirit guide that gets you through your life entirely. Now, from what I've read and I've applied to myself is the concept of the 9 animal totems. Animals assigned to you by spirit that are with you from birth to death. And they are assigned the directions, okay? So the different 9, you have your animal of the north, south, east, west, above, below, within. And then you have your father, which is more of your testosterone in you.
The right side.
And then your left side, which is your mother or your estrogen, your motherly side to you. And I've known my animals for some years now, and this was when it comes to totems and stuff, again, I'm a big one on you don't choose your animals. They choose you. So there are so many different ways that you can find out what your animal totems, either singular or plural, can be, and we can break that down too, whether it's meditation or there's sweat lodges or
crazy different ways of it.
So many different ways of finding out what your animals are. However, am I kind of going on the track that you're thinking of now? Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty much, I've even got examples of the different group and individual totemism.
Okay.
Because you were explaining how people believe that they were born with one or with a group. And so there's like the Aborigines, the people of Papua New Guinea, the Malaysians, and the Indians. There's the different tribes and clans all over the place.
So different.
That all of these peoples believed in a group or an individual totem that would either be a part of the tribe, and pretty much they were, like we believe with spirit animals or our totems, they were either, you never could hunt them.
They're sacred.
They were sacred.
Right.
You would, sacrifice to them or to the spirit of them, or that was your family strength and you had those weaknesses, and so those you would always wear those skins, etc. And it was just, all of these different religions in these different regions maintained that idea of being connected to a main animal or a main set of animals.
Right.
And I think it was the Ojibwe that actually talked about it was the one's brother, sister, kin was the totem. So they were brother and sister to these animals.
Okay.
So they were one family.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it was just interesting because a lot of people, when I first started researching this, a lot of people tended to say that it was a new construct. This idea of the animal, the spirit animals, or this is my spirit animal, or I'm with you saying that you don't choose them. Mm-hmm. So many people are now out there just this is the animal I connect with most.
Yes, that's. But you can't help but wonder if that's more wishful thinking.
Well, how many people say their spirit animal is a wolf?
Well, yeah, or a raven.
Right.
There's 15 gazillion of us. But the funny thing is that
owl's pretty common too, though.
when even I, before I opened up to spirit and asked spirit to help me learn what my 9 totems were, I knew what I was connected to, and I was hopeful in certain creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping to get raven in the mix, and spider. I absolutely love spider. And after all 9 were read, I was slightly disappointed that the ones that I felt the closest to weren't part of it.
Right.
So I had my mini temper tantrum. I'm like, what the fuck?
Where is it?
Where is it? But I actually learned that, for instance, coyote is one of my animals. And coyote and raven are
buddies.
So similar. They're so similar. So I did actually get the one that I was closest to, but instead of having wings, it's got 4 legs.
A different aspect of it.
Exactly. So you may not have, you may not have wolf, but you will get a different form of canine. You may be pleasantly surprised. But the thing is to understand what your totems are. Again, you don't choose them. You go to a different place to get these. Is that spirit knows, okay, and they actually do connect in one way or another. It's creepy cool how it all pans out. And if you actually get over your fucking temper tantrum and learn about the animals that spirit has assigned you,
there's a reason.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that is so dead on. It is right. So we have to remember that when we're asking for help, we have to put our ego, our wishful thinking, and everything to the side and say, fuck it. What I think is best for me isn't always best for me. You tell me what is the truth. And the animals, when they come to you and when you're told, they are true. They're dead on every single time. But before we get into the directions and all the weirdness,
going into deeper,
do you want to talk about how different ways that people can come?
Yeah, before we go into the one way, because we can end with the oracle cards and how we did it, because that's a nice example one, and we can. Right. But even my first, when you first explained to me about the oracle cards and everything, I had come into it with an understanding from when I was trained into Reiki, which is why I actually brought it up, because when we did our guided meditation, which is part of the initiation portion of it, and you have to find your spirit, your Reiki guides, and those are guides that are supposed to teach you and train you in everything to do with your energy transference. And I had a little white rabbit was mine, and he was running around like crazy and jumping all through the forest. And then there was also your personal guide, and that was, again, it's hard to say that because there's a lot of wishful thinking in the fact that it was a big gray wolf, and it sounds very like I chose it and a lot of things. And so when I got my totems done in the card portion, having him not show up was kind of a shock. And you're right, I had my little mini temper tantrum and then turned it around and I realized what coyote was all about. But besides guided meditations, and I like the idea of the cards and everything, just because I feel like a lot of times in meditations, you have the chance to kind of let your wishful thinking influence what you see. Mm-hmm. Unless you start going into deeper, stronger places. Like, I do think a sweat lodge might turn you into a different thinking process. You see things in that.
Let's deprive ourselves of sleep, food, water, to the point where we're like hallucinating, and then what the fuck is going to come out of your brain? You know, that's pretty intense.
But then there's also, I mean, it's funny because when I got mine read, there were so many of them that just had continuously showed up in my life as is. So I do think there is something to this animal shows up all the time. This animal's a part of my life no matter what I do. Not even because I just like this animal, but it's just a theme. I do think there is something to that.
You mean not only being part of your totem, but also showing up?
I think that, I mean, like the hummingbird was a big part of...
And you have hummingbird in your totem,
in
don't
my
you?
totem, exactly. Okay. But hummingbird has shown up consistently throughout my life. It had never done something like that before. But hummingbirds were always around and constantly around in my, in my gardens and everything. And so it was no surprise to me when hummingbird showed up. Right. So for the people who haven't had the chance to have their cards read or something, I feel like, don't be discouraged by you don't know it yet. There is a good chance that the animals that are showing up in your life consistently may be one of your animals.
Likes attract like.
Right.
And if you have strong hummingbird energy because it's attached to you, which always will be.
Right.
Then,
because you're born with it.
Exactly. Then there's no surprise, I mean, if you've got mouse in your totem and you see a lot of mice, don't freak out, It's just...
Spiders, I
love the spiders.
I've had spiders showing up a lot, or not anymore, but I'm glad I got the message and Casper finally shooed them off.
Oh.
No, every day for like a week and a half, I had a perfectly built spider web on my car's antenna. Like it was this beautiful spider web, and I would just stare at it. But it would clean it off every morning, look for the spider, didn't see him, and then, go on my merry way, come home, and then next morning there'd be another spider web.
Okay.
So finally we found him and moved him off the car, and it didn't show up anymore, but it was very interesting, and that doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, you just brought up a good point. I don't even know what that represents, but the past, what has it been, 3 or 4 mornings now? We've had a particular sparrow, one particular, in our garage, like every morning.
Just hanging out?
Yeah, and he hops around. He looks for insects, and he just like goes up on the rafters, and he looks down, at us and stuff. So I need to look up the sparrow, kind of thing. What's going on with sparrow? Because I've never worked with sparrow energy myself, but I'm
actually playing a game right now that's focused on sparrows.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
I don't know. Maybe, but at the same time, too, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but the amount of beetles that have been out and about this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So, and we've even had a friend of ours, he texted us and said, what's the meaning behind the beetle? Does it have any spiritual type of meaning? And it's like, well, everything
Egyptian,
has...
I'm sure.
Everything, well, scarab,
Yeah.
So sure that the beetle has power, but don't freak out. Because it's not just you that's like your house is infested with beetles or your garage, because they're just something with the climate.
It's got to be the humidity, and I'm not surprised that all of the bugs are running amok with how it has been weather-wise here.
They're all kind of freaking out. So we had to calm them down, and it's like, no, it's, I firmly, I don't feel as though beetles trying to tell you a message. It's...
They're just everywhere.
Everywhere.
If the cicadas all decided to hatch at once, it doesn't mean the cicada means something.
Right.
So that's where you have to kind of play detective a little bit and
Sure.
not look at things always and jump the gun and assume that everything you see is a message.
No, it is a repetition. It is. And the first couple of days, it won't even dawn on you.
Right.
It's like, what? Okay, this is just like a normal thing. No, okay, it happened again.
It's
And
got to
happened
be
again
over and over and over
again.
again. Like, I hate to say it, but I'm sure our spouses get really sick of us having to say this, but I will start to tell my husband, okay, just telling you about this weird thing that happened. If it doesn't happen again, we'll just drop it. But if
Right.
it does,
I'm not going fucking crazy.
it did. I told you it has happened to me 3 times in a row now, and I will tell you every day in a row that it has happened. I am not insane. So it's hard to always discern that, though, I guess is my... I mean, like, for me, it's kind of a gut feeling as well. Like, it's got to be repetition. It's got to be something really out of the ordinary that catches me off guard. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's loud and clear and pretty obvious that this isn't a normal thing.
But the thing is, too, is that if our eyes and our hearts are not open to this stuff, then we're
You're not
missing
gonna
out
see
on
it.
so many opportunities. You know, and we are all guilty of asking the universe, asking for God or goddess to help us with certain things, you know, and then we slam the door on the idea, you know, and we have no idea how the universe is going to present answers to our
Right.
questions. And so many times it's things that are in front of us that are in our everyday lives, even when it comes to animals, insects, or anything else.
It could even be just like a song that continuously
It
plays.
very well could be, you know. But when it comes to the animals, again, you know, broken record here, when you see a creature that's doing something out of the norm, you know, pick up a book, even punch it up online, you know, the power of, you know, skunk. I don't know. It's you know, because they're nocturnal and they're coming out and
They're
he's like
everywhere.
staring at you through your bedroom window every night. You know,
He's
I don't
coming to
know,
visit
something.
every single night.
You want to get back to totems?
Yeah.
And,
Do we? Well, I mean, like, we've gone into kind of different ways of. I keep referencing back to oracle cards because
Okay.
that was the way that we.
the medicine cards?
The medicine cards, yes. That was the way that you helped me discern mine.
Right.
And I really like that way. It's very clean and concise. Mm-hmm. Before then, I had never found a really good way that I felt confident with that I didn't feel like I had just picked something.
I agree with you. You know, it's kind of like when working with a pendulum, you have to get over the fact that you have to be careful because wishful thinking does manifest itself. It will show. And when it comes to truly knowing and really understanding, we have to put ourselves outside, you know, and turn off that humanistic part of us and saying, okay, no matter what it is, I'm going to swallow this pill.
Right.
Okay. And that was the beautiful thing about the medicine cards. And the particular deck that I introduced you to, it has nothing but North American animals.
Right.
Okay. But it also gave you the other options, blank cards.
To add your own in.
Right. So things that you may be attracted to that aren't in the deck, such as elephant. I fucking love elephant. Or gorilla. Crocodile. Well, alligator's in there. And even though they're two different, you know, you can still kind of compact them
Right.
the same.
You could say
in a
it's
sense.
one or the other.
Yeah, they're still, it's kind of like crow and raven. I
right.
mean, they're
Close
still
enough.
very, very similar.
Or like magpie doesn't show up.
Right.
And they wouldn't have that.
Right. So anyways, there are options to fill in the blanks. And the medicine card set does come with a book of the breakdown of,
It's a nice description, too. They've got good Native American stories to go along with it.
And if you were to choose an animal that's not in the book, and if that card is chosen, then it is your responsibility to find the attributes, the lighter and the darker
Right.
aspects of that particular animal, if it is drawn. Just because you put it in there and just because you like it does not necessarily mean that it's
You're
going to be
get
part
it.
of your totem.
Right.
And the totem spread that I introduced LeFay to just consisted of 9 cards. But Native Americans believe that Spirit has assigned an animal to every direction, you know,
Around the person.
you. So you have to learn which each direction is responsible for. Okay?
Right.
For example, and we don't have to go through all 9 different directions, but the north, the animal of the north, the direction of the north is pretty much when to speak and when to listen. Okay, it is the direction of your communication, if that makes sense.
Right.
Okay. And
reminds you to be grateful for your everyday blessings.
Now,
East is one that I really like because it's your personal truth and inner answers.
okay.
And that one's kind of like, it's going to lead you into the sun. So it's going to lead you into the enlightenment that you're looking for. So that one I'm able to remember quite well.
Well, even the South. I particularly care for the South because it is the protector of your
It's
innocence.
my stinker.
And, well, I have alligator behind me. And, again, one thing we aren't going to be doing in this podcast is breaking down specific animals because we'll be here for 3 fucking months straight.
No,
We won't be talking about specifics.
And we didn't want to do that for one of the series bits that we're doing at the beginning of the show because, again, it would take forever. So, because every region has its own descriptions of animals. And so, I mean, like, we're looking at the Native American ones, but then if I really wanted to look at it, I could also go into how the Mayans looked at certain animals or how the Chinese do it if I really wanted to get into it. Because, like, my horse zodiac, which, do I want to include that or do I want to go out of it? And how do they look at that zodiac? And, it gets kind of deep. So,
well, on that note, what's actually really, really cool too is that even learning about your animal totems, whether it's through an oracle set, okay, or meditation or, hallucination, through a sweat lodge or whatever, peyote, what the fuck ever, is that and I even have a list of them if you care to hear, but like your Celtic astrology.
Yeah.
You have animal breakdowns. The Chinese, they have theirs. And I even have one, then I have the Native American animal sign zodiacs too. And what was the other one? Oh, I also have animal symbols aligned with your 7 chakra centers, which is kind of
cool.
neat. But I thought, okay, well, shit. Universe told me, okay, I have these 9 animals around me all the time. So is it going to conflict with,
everything else that's going on?
Right. Say my Native American totem. Okay. And my Native American totem is actually otter. And when I read about it, it is so me, but it's very general.
Right.
Okay. It's just,
it feels like the sun zodiac that we're all familiar with.
Exactly. And then the same thing with my Celtic. Okay. Because I'm a stag. It very much is a huge part of my personality. But the beautiful thing about the full breakdown of the 9 totems is that it represents all of your personalities that as a whole make up LeFay, make up Feather, so it allows me to understand that I'm not fucking bipolar. I'm not schizophrenic. I have so many different personalities and so many different hats, and if you think about it, 9 animals, all animals, they have a lighter aspect and they have a darker aspect too. I'm not going to say one's good and one's bad because that's a crock of shit. It's not true. Even the cutest of animals, it's like, oh, it's just a little mouse. Mouse can be extremely destructive, where
Mouse
you look at, something that's more of a predator, like a lion, and they can be ferocious and they can
totally
shred.
Loving and
but
protective.
Oh my God, they're one of the best parents. So again, it's that lighter and darker aspect. So if you're surrounded by 9 animals and each one has a lighter and a darker aspect, now you're looking at not 9 personalities, but 18. 18 different personalities, aspects, energies that affect you every single day. So when you go from one to another, why? Because it does make up you. You're not fucking nuts. You're not crazy.
And you're not shifting back and forth from multiple personalities.
No,
it's just how you respond to certain things, how you're, intaking information and putting it out there, how you interact day to day. I mean, like, even when you wake up on the bad side, how you respond to waking. So not such a literal sense of everything, but yeah, you have all of that. And as you grow and develop, you're like, well, when I was younger, I really let my, I would probably say I let my dolphin be heavily in control of a lot of things. Whereas now my owl is much more in control of things.
Right.
But I had to take control of, the positive aspects. I forgot we had that sound. But yeah, once I was able to consolidate and, come to terms with that, and it comes in so handy, just like learning your astrology, learning your your totems, or even taking the time to learn your zodiacs, because those are really interesting and helpful. They help you give some titles, and they help you analyze yourself a little bit and look at the different positives and strengths and different things you have to learn and grow from.
But the most amazing thing is that by knowing your totems, okay, really getting to know them, accept that is what you are made of, okay, what is surrounding you. You cannot ask one animal to be another one, okay? You cannot ask a goat to be a swan or a butterfly to be an armadillo. It is what it is. And knowing that there are certain things about you that you cannot, no matter how badly you wish you could change, you cannot change it. You accept it and you work with what you have.
It's incredibly freeing.
It is very, very freeing. You are not so hard on yourself anymore to be perfect.
Why am I not this? Why am I not that? Why can't I be like that Leo?
You will never, if you are that goat, you will not be the swan. It doesn't mean that you can't invite swan into your life for a short period of time to help guide you through certain situations. But you are a fucking goat. So, you know what? Eat that pill, swallow it, be proud of the goat that you are in that certain aspect of your life, because other people wish that they were the goat. You have strength in being that goat, okay? So stop trying to be something that you're not. But ultimately, our ultimate, thank you, goal, and what is our ultimate goal? To strive for balance, correct? We're not striving to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. But we do seek balance in our everyday life. Now, I think that if more people concentrated on themselves and breaking yourself down, even down to animals, that's a lot of fucking information on yourself to absorb, okay? If you spent more time getting to know yourself and who and what you truly are, and to balance and not just say, I am only coyote. No, you've got 9 animals and you're going to try to balance all of those for perfect harmony.
Right.
Okay? So if you can actually concentrate on yourself and understanding who you are, what makes you tick, and learning some balance, guess what, all you fucking drama queens? You're not going to have time to go out and disrupt anybody else's life. Okay? You don't. I think that people need to start concentrating more on themselves. And there's so much about you to learn. It's endless, the things about yourself that you learn, and I think that the people that are full of drama and shit are too afraid to actually look in the mirror.
Oh, what was it? It was like small-minded people discuss other people, medium-minded people discuss ideas, and large-minded people discuss, I don't know, there's just like this large-scale thing, but absolutely, I can't agree with you more. I do feel like how can you be happy with anything if you're unhappy with yourself? And you can't be happy with yourself until you understand yourself. And
the cool thing is that getting to know yourself is actually a lot of fucking fun. When you do the things that we do,
it's interesting.
That's far as
the
astrology,
driving force of most of the stuff.
All this stuff, it is not only is it creepy accurate, okay,
it's always fun.
It is entertaining. It is, and while you're getting to know yourself and say, I don't have horse in my totem, even though I love horse energy. Learning about my totems and then finding out, whoa, LeFay, you've got the same animal in a different area,
right?
You and I have some common ground. That's why we kind of get along, because you have coyote,
right?
And yours too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And
he's my below.
Well, yeah, he's my above. So it's it's neat when you find other people that are learning about themselves in the same sense, that understand or are learning their animal totems too, because there's endless conversation that you can have, and learning more about yourself. They provoke thought.
Right.
I
mean, how many times have we said, Papa Skunk?
Oh, yeah. And Skunk's not my papa. Skunk's my in. He's my center. How about some animal zodiac signs? You want to get into that a little bit?
Well, you had talked about zodiacs and the chakras, and we could go into that, and then do we want to end with omens?
Sure. Could talk a little bit about that. Well, I have... You want to go with Celtic animal zodiac signs? You want to do Native American first?
Well, I can pull up the Celtic right here.
Okay. How about yes, because it's cool. And shut your hole. All right, because they're fun. All right, I will start, and we can stagger back and forth if you want.
That works.
Okay. All right, if you'd like to know what your animal zodiac signs are, the Celtic fans out there, if your birthday falls between December 24th and January 20th, you are a stag/deer.
Okay, and then if you are born between January 21st and February 17th, you are a cat.
February 18th through March 17th, you're a snake.
And March 18th through April 14th, you're a fox.
April 15th, hey baby, through May 12th, you're a cow/bull.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
May 13th through June 9th, seahorse. See, I didn't even think the Celts would have seahorses around.
So, I was a little shocked to see that too. But okay.
Mediterranean, they must have gone down there.
turtles.
Yeah, we're going to argue this.
June 10th, July 7th, wren. It's a bird.
It's a pretty bird. From July 8th to August 4th, you are going to be a horse.
August 5th through September 1st, you're a salmon or a fish.
And then you've got September 2nd to September 29th will be the swan.
September 30th through October 27th, you're a butterfly.
And then October 28th through November 24th, you're the wolf or the hound.
And grand finale, November 25th through December 23rd, you're a falcon or a hawk.
Okay, so that's the Celtic one.
Yep, and it's gone. So let's move on to Native American animal zodiac signs.
All right.
Mine, it's January 20th through February 18th, you're otter.
Yep, and then you've got February 19th through March 20th is the wolf.
March 21st through April 19th, you're falcon.
Mm-hmm. April 20th through May 20th, you've got the beaver.
May 21st through June 20th, you're deer.
From June, that's the mixture of June, July. June 21st to July 21st, you've got the woodpecker.
And July 22nd through August 21st, you're salmon.
From August 22nd to August 21st, you've got the bear.
September 22nd through October 22nd, you're raven.
And then October 23rd to November 22nd, you've got snake.
November 23rd through December 21st, you're an owl.
And December 22nd to January 19th, you've got goose. So that's Native American signs.
Yes. So now that you know what you are, look it up because it's actually really, really cool. And just like LeFay said a little bit earlier, it kind of represent your personality, kind of like your sun sign in the zodiac.
Right.
That's what this particular animal is. It's a broad spectrum of you.
That's how you get dropped into a giant rabbit hole, is you start looking up one thing and then you look up another and then you have to find out how these two animals interact with each other, and then can you include that into how the Aries sign works with this sign?
Sure.
So
does energy mesh with energy?
And how do you make it all work together?
Right.
That's going to be the fun part of everything.
You can't change anything. You just adapt and learn to work with it. Right?
Pretty much. And I mean, do you want to jump into the chakras a little bit? Because I didn't get as much information about that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm not a hardcore chakra girl.
Yeah.
But when I came across this, I'm like, oh, this is really clever, because there's so many people out there that incorporate gemstones when working with chakra energy.
Yeah.
So we're going to push your way of thinking, provoke some thought, and include some animals into the chakras.
Very cool.
Okay, so let's start with the root chakra.
Okay. Red.
The animal that is the primary for the root chakra is the elephant. Okay? For the simple fact that it charges through blockages, it protects, remembers, loves, closeness, it's social and effective. And its message is, I provide.
Nice.
Okay?
That's a good root basis, strong, place to start with.
I really like the charges through the blockages.
Yeah.
Part of that. And then we're working up to our sacral. And the animal over the sacral chakra is the crocodile.
Okay.
It encourages creativity. It balances, goes deep, and resurfaces. It's changeable.
Isn't it a feminine energy? Or the crocodile?
Crocodile, alligator. Well, alligator is my south. Crocodile, the kind of the cousins.
Yeah.
I believe so.
For some reason, I feel like that would make sense with the creativity and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It
Same
feel
thing
like
with spider.
Feels a little feminine,
Right.
which fits with the sacral chakra.
Moving on up, solar plexus. You would appreciate this one. It's the ram.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Ram motivates. It's the master of determination, will, and expansive power.
Serious buttheads.
And the message is, I recharge, for the solar plexus.
Very nice.
Okay. Moving up to the heart, the antelope in charge of your heart chakra is the antelope, which inspires. It's full of tenderness. It leaps over pettiness and is full of grace. Its message is, I share.
Okay.
Moving to the throat, which kind of threw me for a loop because the root chakra was the elephant. The throat chakra is the white elephant. Okay,
so two elephants and...
Correct.
I guess there's a huge difference.
The white elephant is more purification, communication, mastery, and harmonizing.
I mean, okay,
energy.
if you're looking at the spiritualities and how they revere the elephant and how they would look at chakras, then you can see why they would... I mean, like the white elephant, like the lotus, maybe, that essence of purity.
Right. But its message is, I express, of course, for the
Hopefully.
throat. For our third eye, it's the black antelope.
Okay.
Yeah, it explores inner realms. It's the animal of journeying, trust, vision, and truth.
It's a nice... I mean, it's a good third eye animal.
Mm-hmm. And its message of the black antelope is, I guide.
Nice.
Okay. And then there isn't a particular animal for the crown chakra. So the research that I did, they used egg.
Okay.
Okay. Egg for any type of animal creature within the egg, which represents potential, purity, limitlessness, and ascension. And the message of the egg is, I reveal.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought that those were really, really cool. And maybe someday if I delve deeper into my chakras and that kind of thing, I can see myself, with my fondness with animals, gearing more. I'd probably be pulled more into learning chakras, knowing that there are certain animals.
Them.
Exactly.
It'd be nice if there would be a way to find out what your root chakra best connected with, or what your different chakras, medicine or oracle cards or medicine cards for your chakras.
Yeah. I don't really know if these are the set animals for all chakras.
Yeah, it's
or
like,
not, or if everybody's is different. These make sense as a general guideline.
Right, just as kind of meditative points, and, think of this. I like those as remembering points. It gives me context. It's like, okay, the black ram or the black antelope is going to be more about the journey and the guiding.
Right. So
I'm going to remember that much easier than just kind of like, all right, what is a black antelope all about?
Right, exactly. So I thought those were kind of fun. I wanted to bring those to the table. Even the Chinese zodiac signs, they don't go off birthdays; they go off of years.
Right, and
that's
just repeating. I mean, like, that is a clever way of, varying things up.
Mm-hmm. So if you ever go to a Chinese restaurant and your placemat,
that's one of our favorite side things to do.
Yeah, and we'd be here all night if we went over every single year. So we're not going to do that. But the Chinese, and they're actually pretty accurate too. Do you know your Chinese?
Horse.
Your horse?
Yep.
I'm dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You get along well with dog.
Yeah.
Supposedly I'm not supposed to get along well with rat, but I married one.
Oh. See, it just shows that maybe that's your sun sign in comparison to.
It's got to be a whole bunch of different other weird stuff going into it. And that's when your brain starts to spin because you're trying to include every little thing.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
But while we're talking about animals, do you want to kind of talk about certain animal omens? And
that's one of the things that I think a lot of people get misconceptions about, and I'm afraid of leaving without talking about this at least a little.
Yeah, I am too. I think we all have our different ways of coping with things that we read and applying to ourselves. But generally, when it comes to omens and certain signs, I kind of look at them, the interpretations for omens and certain signs, the same way that I look at gemstones. Okay. And for people that are learning about gemstones and stuff, it's you kind of learn that when dealing with a stone and you want to know what it's good for, generally you look up keywords.
Right.
I don't know. Rose quartz is for self-love, healing, and that kind of thing. Those are just keywords. However, the particular how it affects you is actually going to be very different. Individual, exactly. So even when it comes to interpreting animal omens and signs, I take it very lightly. I don't take it as like, oh my God, this animal did this and I read this and it means that somebody's going to die. No, I'm not a big one on interpretations when it comes to that.
Direct only I like having your own personal interpretation flavor the overall, because if you see one person's going to see a snake and get excited, another person's going to freak out. That doesn't mean that the snake means the same thing for both people.
Right.
If that message was for the person that loves the snake, maybe it's about rebirth or growth and regeneration, etc. Whereas somebody who absolutely loathes snakes, maybe it's a warning.
Or it could be a message that they need to confront fear.
Right. Or something.
Okay. It could be something. But the thing is it is still there,
Right. The message is still there.
Right. But as far as omens go, and one of the examples that I'd like to give is that, when was it? Like a month ago, I think, where my husband and I woke up to a good size dead bird on our front stoop. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know exactly what it was. It didn't look like it had been, maimed or like slaughtered by another animal, but it didn't look like it had flown in and broken its neck or anything, hitting the door. It was just lying on its back very peacefully, but it was dead. And a lot of people will jump to conclusions like, oh, somebody's putting a curse or a hex on you and all these bad things are going to start to happen and blah, 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 and all this shit. And I'm not a big one on fear at all. And maybe it's because I don't fear that kind of shit. Maybe that's why the hex didn't affect me. I don't know. But all I did was I took this once living creature and out of pure respect gave it a decent burial,
right?
And wished it well, and that the energy move on. And I was actually sad that this creature died,
right? Unnecessarily, or maybe it was just its time.
Exactly. I mean, but the point was I didn't delve so deeply into it where I began to worry, And it was a one-time thing. Now, if I woke up every single day for 7 or 8 days and there were dead birds,
that's a different story.
Would be a little different. We're like, okay, the universe is definitely trying to tell me something.
Right.
My door has become invisible and all these birds are trying to fly through it. I don't know. Something fucked up. Yeah, you shall not pass. Die, bird, die. So I think the point that I'm trying to make on my end is that when it comes to interpreting things and learning and educating, keep an open mind.
Right, and don't jump to conclusions so quickly. I mean, the one thing that always bugs me is whenever I'm, sitting around in a crowd and somebody says, like, oh my gosh, I saw all those birds lined up. I knew it was an omen. It's like, it's not Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, the birds, and I get, the birds do weird things.
Yes.
They will fly in weird patterns.
Yes.
There's, certain things that just happen. It's one thing to notice a pattern and have it happen consistently. It's another for birds to do something sporadically random. And I don't want people assuming that, negative stuff is out to get them all the time and that, these omens of this black cat crossing their path is going to be a bad thing.
Right. I tend to keep superstition out of the picture when it comes to that. However,
right.
I have a huge admiration and a ton of respect for certain cultures that study nature intensively. And there was a movie that I watched, and it was called Red Cliff. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie. Oh, my God. I absolutely love this movie, but I'm a big one on strategy.
Okay.
I love strategy. And this was a movie of war.
Okay.
Were they Asian? I believe. Anyway, the one side wound up defeating the other side by walking away from what they thought that they knew as far as war strategics and relying on nature to be its guide.
Oh, cool.
As far as when a storm was going to come in or how the animals were reacting so that they could time everything to attack the oncoming. It was fucking amazing. But this was years and decades of observation to a point where their beliefs were religious to them. It wasn't just me reading in a book and getting 3 different opinions and now me becoming an expert. No, that there was a huge... Okay, yeah, ask me to pronounce that.
Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu? Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. I have a huge, huge respect for that.
Yeah, Sun Tzu in The Art of War, he was the one that went into that into pretty much rewriting the Book of War, basically.
Okay, but it was based off of nature?
I don't know if what the movie that you're talking about was based off of Sun Tzu, but he also did that.
Okay.
And that's a common theme, to start using nature and observing your environment like that in order to get the high ground on your enemy.
Okay.
But I like the fact that they took it to that religious stance.
Yes, it is absolutely amazing. I sit down and again, I'm fascinated with the books, the stories of the Native Americans, and how Brother Wolf, and Panther or somebody, they don't get along. And this is a little story of why.
Right, the fables.
I find them very, right. And still, those are still fables to me, just like the human deity fables. Right. And I don't take them seriously. I find them, they're heartwarming to me because they're talking about animals. But that's not what I go to. That's not the interpretation that I go to. I understand why they give the stories because it's easier to remember, just like with human deities. But it's the actual studying of the animal itself.
Why does knowing that the goose is flying south at a certain rate and knowing what that means for crop harvest and just the agricultural... Not even just I shouldn't call it agricultural, but the environmental awareness that we lost during the Industrial Revolution and the lack of understanding that the modern human has now for observation.
Our observation's gone. We're so stuck on fucking TVs and computers and telephones and everything else. It's like we also make everything
fake. How are we supposed to observe nature when we're surrounded by pavement? It's
a choice.
True. I mean, you can leave, but if you're in the burbs and there's this false sense of nature is what I guess I'm getting at. Is it doesn't feel like the same. You have to go a couple miles out south or east or wherever. We're lucky where we are, but you look at LA or something where you have to actually work hard to get out.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
The concrete jungles. They still have life all over the place, even if it's just insects, or pigeons.
True.
Fuck it. Sewer rats. I don't give a shit. Anything that's not human.
Oh, that'd be so sad. I do feel for those urban witches.
But see, don't get me wrong, you cannot put me in a city and expect me to be happy. I need my green, and there's definitely not enough green. But you can, if you really put your mind to it, you can find nature anywhere.
Yes, and you can bring in your own nature,
Sure.
and you can make sure that it has its own expression. I guess it's harder to do mass scale observation, though, I guess was the point that I was getting to. It's hard to watch migratory patterns in the city and whatnot.
It's too much fucking pollution. You can't.
Well, yeah, there's some limitations was really all I was getting to,
Right.
but we're really straying from Omens. Right?
But
one of those nights.
The point, yeah, I know. I think we're both a little tired. Just like what we encourage with everything with your education is to don't limit yourself to just one way of thinking. Even what LeFay and I are saying, what we say is not gospel. It is our own. It's our own.
A little
way
bit of research
thinking.
I did here and there, and even that research is, off the internet most of the time. And I try to find good sources, and it's a conglomeration of everyone's opinions and beliefs.
Right. And and at least you are taking that in and applying things to you. It's not just.
And this isn't the end of your research, we hope. This is hopefully just the spark that gets you excited to go look into it and figure out what works for you.
And we've been talking about animals, again, that's the closest thing to my heart when it comes to nature besides hugging a big fat fucking oak tree. And we very much, well, I'm not going to speak for LeFay, I'm speaking for myself, very, very much encourage you to reach out and work with animal spirits. No matter, if it's a familiar, an animal guide, whatever you want to call it, your
Be aware of
totems.
whatever.
I like turtles.
Because I know that I'm not the only one out there that is just totally fascinated and in love with animals over humans. And if you ever stop into the shop, I'll show you the medicine cards that we were talking about earlier, and even talk you through it as to go home and do it yourself, because it's just another way of exploring new things about
You
yourself.
learn so much about yourself and the
working
growth
with
and
other
development.
deities. And,
It's huge.
different energies.
It's a really big treat to be able to know that and start working on that. And all right, well,
I think I'm done for the night. I need a nap.
yeah, I think I'm all aminoled out at this point. Aminal
All right.
crackers.
Well, guys, you know what? We've got Lunacide coming up very, very soon. So expect
A special
something,
coming up.
right? And that one's a big one. For
We haven't
me
planned
too.
it out, but
Yeah.
it will be
We're
before
getting there.
It'll happen before the actual event.
Yes, we do promise that. And thank you. Go, team, go. All right, guys. Again, sorry it took so long to get here. That was my fault, but
Thank you
we
for the
miss
patience.
you. We love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all of your input. Bye-bye. And y'all
We
take
will
care.
hear from you soon.
All right. This is Feather.
And LeFay.
And thanks for listening.
This was Season of the Witch.
Oh!